What is going on, guys? This is Walk Talk Football, the show where we talk about everything that's on your mind. Today we're talking Premier League, we're talking Bundesliga, and we are going to talk a little bit about social media posts, so let's walk. All right, guys, so first off, right away, we're going into some Bundesliga questions. I got a question. Can BVB turn it around with Stoger? Well, they've gotten 2 wins in a row since he came on, and whether that's because of him or just having a, kind of breath of fresh air, you never really know. That's the whole point of changing a manager. Sometimes clubs go, okay, he might not be the right long-term manager, or he might be. We still don't know 100% whether he's going to be the right guy or not. But what we do know is that this could breathe some new energy into the team, to see things differently. Sometimes managers just rub players the wrong way, and if players stop trusting a manager, they seem to check out. I know in my career, as soon as I had a manager that I felt was talking nonsense, or he was full of it, or didn't treat people equally, or didn't handle the locker room the right way, I checked out, and no matter what he said, I had a block up between me and them in believing or buying into his system. So hopefully, and time will tell. Is Spurs going back in track after losing 4-1 to Man City? Well, they've only had 2 wins in their last 6, which is very unlike Spurs, and they're usually good at drawing games, staying in games and stuff, but they're 21 points out of the title race, which is kind of disappointing. Spurs started the season so hot, just like they did the last couple seasons. Harry Kane has been hot, but look, there's no stopping Man City right now, so it's more of a battle for second place, third place, fourth place, but right now, Spurs are somewhere around 6th or 7th behind Burnley, which, they could quickly turn around, but 2 wins in their last 6 matches is definitely going to make you drop down the table when everything's so tight between 2 and 5 and 6 right now. But they're certainly still in top 4 race. Will Manchester City give Pep Guardiola what he's been looking for, a Champions League Cup? I guess Champions League trophy. Well, they're very well on their way to securing the Premier League. Okay, it's not over, but they're well on their way to securing that. And if they can get that early enough, or know that they're getting the points that they need and the consistency that they need, I mean, let's be honest, they're better than anybody in the Premier League, and they're probably going to win the Premier League title. If they can do that, they can shift some of their focus, or at least start to rotate squad players a little bit more to put their best 11 on the field for Champions League every time they have a game. They're on pace to break 30 wins in a season. It's the first time since 1950s that a team beat Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, United, and Tottenham before Christmas, which is crazy. And they've scored 56 goals. It's a wild year so far for Manchester City. Pep Guardiola spends crazy money, but he seems to spend it in the right way. So more power to them. But whether they win the Champions League or not, time will tell. Again, I can't predict that, but I certainly think that this is the team that has the best chance. It's the first time that I can say that an English team are one of the favorites right now to win the Champions League. It's been a few years since I said that. Next up, what do you think about Griezmann's costume? Is it racist or just misguided? I'm gonna drop Aaron in on this one to answer this.
All right, guys.
Slow down. I know you got some energy and you got some things to say.
I got to keep that same energy.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a tough one. I in my heart, I don't think Antoine Griezmann is truly racist. But the fact is, Blackface has a long history in America for minstrel shows, propagating stereotypes. I'm making up words because I'm trying to get it out. It's just got a long history of promoting stereotypes, and it's got a very negative connotation to black people. I know on his side, he wanted to honor the Globetrotters. He was going to an 80s party. The costume itself, if we're going execution, it was pretty good. But you don't have to put blackface on to show that you're a Harlem Globetrotter. You have the uniform on. Like, we don't need the blackface. I know in Europe it's got a very different tradition, but the fact remains, even if you didn't intend it in a racist way, it's got a racist connotation. He put out a couple kind of non-apologies, which have since been deleted. I'm sure some of his friends, teammates have probably gotten in his ear to say, hey man, you screwed up. But I think, just to circle it back up and wrap it all up, even though he didn't necessarily intend it as a racist gesture, the fact remains blackface is racist. Even if it doesn't offend you, there are people who are offended. That's the way things work. You can't just do what you want anymore. That's my thoughts on it.
Cool, man.
I finally got my words out.
I appreciate it. All right, guys, moving on from that, let's move on to some more Bundesliga stuff. Bundesliga's halfway done, 10 points separate 2nd to 13th. Which teams can make transfers to push into Europe, overachieving teams that need to hang on to players, blah, blah, blah. Well, Freiburg got 11 points out of their total 17 in their last, how many matches? 5 matches. And then you look at, which is pretty crazy, they've moved up to the table in 11 11 points in the last 5 matches, which is a lot to take on because they only have 17 in total. And then you look at a team like Schalke. Again, if maybe Leon Goretzka gets sold, maybe not, probably not, but they can get another goal scorer in next to, what's his name, Bergstaller up top to kind of contribute because they're not scoring a ton of goals, but they have a very, very good chance of finishing second because we know Bayern Munich are going to wrap up the title. And Leverkusen are also unbeaten in 12, which is pretty impressive. And those two teams, I think, are going to battle it out for second place. Of course, Dortmund are very, very capable of coming back. Hoffenheim, RB Leipzig, so many good teams in the Bundesliga right now to pay attention to. But those are the teams that I think you should be paying attention to, Freiburg especially, and then obviously Schalke. Very, very good right now. What do I think of LAFC so far with the players they've signed? Will the teams try to follow Atlanta United blueprints? Maybe from a fan's perspective, they will. They'll follow the blueprints of what Atlanta did, continuing to bring more and more fans into the experience and more fans to go to one game and then become lifelong fans as those ticket sales increase. But from a player perspective, I mean, Bob Bradley's an experienced guy. He's managed 2 national teams. He's managed New York Red Bulls, Chicago Fire. Not New York Red Bulls. Has he New York Red Bulls? I think he does. No? No? Okay, Chicago Fire, right? Chicago Fire. Am I right with that one? Chivas USA. He's got a ton of experience. Swansea. He was in Norway. Sorry. And he's a proven manager, a proven winning manager that is very, very much a student of the game. He's always paying attention. He's very, very detailed. And I think he'll put together a good roster based on his philosophy and the values of the club. I don't think they're going to emulate Atlanta United because they ultimately fell short in the playoffs after having a good year. They started the season really strong, hit a little bit of a dip, finished the season strong, and went into the playoffs thinking, wow, these guys could go on a run. But an experienced Columbus Crew squad was able to end their dreams very quickly. So whether they emulate or not, I do think LAFC is going to be a very, very good club, and I think that LA Galaxy should be worried for the moment just about everything, from where the stadium is to the team that they're building to just about everything within the club. The philosophy of it all is going to be very, very good, and I think Galaxy might struggle for a few years if they're able to pull all this stuff together. What else? Are you guys following the USSF presidential elections? It would be nice to see debate on different ideas being discussed among the candidates. Well, we're reaching out to all those candidates. We want to give them a voice here on our shows, probably Walk Talk Football, as well as some other formats. So we're reaching out to all of them to give them a fair opportunity to come on our show before the elections to kind of state their case, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish, what their goals are. But we're also kind of building out our plan for how we cover U.S. soccer over the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 4 years even. And hopefully there'll be some revolutions within the game that we can then see some changes and then have a lot more to talk about. But we definitely plan to discuss that more. We just need to make sure that we have the right formats to do so. Thoughts on Burnley so far? They've been pretty impressive. Absolutely. There's nothing more to say than that. They're currently above Tottenham in the table. It's always fun to see teams like that battle year in and year out, and then you have that kind of odd year where they just push up into the European positions. And hopefully they can keep it up for the rest of the year, because it's definitely going to disrupt some of those Big 4, Big 5, Big 6 teams. How long until Gattuso gets sacked? I mean, look, the reality is I don't know how he got the job in the first place. I think he was a great player. He's incredible. And if you look at his coaching record, it's not very good. If you look at the coaching record of former players at AC Milan, it's not very good. So we're going through a crowd of people right now. So if we make it through, we'll be all right. But yeah, look, we made it. We're all still standing. And our guy's still walking backwards. Safe. We got a strong team right now. But look, I don't think Gattuso was the right managerial change or hiring. He's just not proven. But they've continued to bring all these guys in that aren't proven, that are former players or former AC Milan legends, and they seem to really kind of fall short of expectations or fall short of goals. But let's give him a little bit of time, and hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to see him be successful and see AC Milan back on track again. But right now they're not. I think they lost 3-0 this weekend, or 2-0, or 4-0, or something. They lost by a lot. Let's see here. How does the high of scoring leave you vulnerable to then concede? Surely the safety of leading should push the team to play tight and protect it. I mean, in theory, that's what the coach is saying from the sideline. Protect the lead. Don't be vulnerable. Stay in tight. Stay focused. These are the big moments where we're most vulnerable. But think about, like, if you were like shallow breathing the whole day. You're just taking these little tiny little breaths, and then finally you get that big deep breath and you go, you get to let that out. That's the relaxation that comes when you score a goal. You've worked so hard to score that goal that people just go like, oh, finally, now we can play a little bit. Now we can breathe. Now we can play a little bit more of our style of play, or more relaxed. And sometimes that ends up letting off the gas just a little bit, where teams can then expose you and score a goal. On the reverse side, the teams that get scored on, usually that lights the fire under them to say, okay, now we've got to go. We're kind of against the wall. Let's take a few more chances. Let's be a little bit riskier. And that can very much lead to scoring goals. So, no perfect response for that, but that's how I feel. Should Arsenal drop Sanchez and play a 4-4-2 with Giroud and Lacazette on top? I mean, look, if Sanchez is going to leave, they've got to eventually plan for life without him anyway, so why not? Try Giroud, try Lacazette up top. I like Lacazette, but Giroud is the super sub this year. Even though they keep saying he's not, even though Arsene Wenger says he's not, he scores a lot of goals. Most of his goals come from off the bench now. But again, he's a handsome man. He should be on the field, but I'm not the manager. Some guy named Arsene Wenger is the manager. Just so you guys know, when we came here a few weeks ago or last week, this is, I got on by a bird right here. My luck hasn't increased yet, but I'm still waiting for that to kick in. But yeah, I don't know if you guys remember that. It just fell right on my head, right here. Anyways, guys, it's time to address you haters, my favorite part of the show. Since when did Superliga Mario host Walk Talk Football? That's actually a compliment. I'm gonna take that as a compliment, even if you try to make it as hate. Boy, you look like the final boss in a video game. That's also funny. That's not even hating. That's just an observation, so I can respect that as well. What else here? Steven Adams, OKC. Sam, pop in a photo of Steven Adams. Oh, that's what it says. Oh, yeah. Okay. I get it. Steven Adams from OKC, that's what they say I look like. Can't wait to see that photo. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a compliment too. That's not even hating either. Grow the beard out for Iceland World Cup 2018. That's also a compliment. These aren't haters. Who put these in here? These are great. These are just great observations. You guys are making me feel at least not bad about myself. Not necessarily good about myself, but not bad about myself. PSG haven't faced a team capable of knocking them out. So what is Bayern? They must be considered a second-tier team nowadays, huh? Hashtag WTH. That was how I imagine you would have said that to me if you were standing in front of me. And it's fair. They did play against Bayern, but I meant more consistently within the league. PSG are the biggest team within Ligue 1, and in the Champions League, obviously Bayern and PSG were the two big teams. They were going to play each other a couple of times, but they were both ultimately going to go through to the knockout rounds. I mean consistently, like you have in the Premier League, where these top 6 teams are constantly playing each other. PSG haven't been challenged like that really this year. So your criticism is fair, but at the same time, I think you knew what I was talking about, and you just want to yell at me to yell at me. You guys just say it's been a poor year for Real Madrid? Where do they get these brainless idiots from? Just because they lost a few matches in La Liga doesn't mean they suck. They won the Champions League and La Liga FFS. You guys know what that means. Look, you can't rest on your laurels. It's like saying all these clubs that are 100 years old but won trophies back in like the 60s and 70s. Like, oh, they won trophies back then. Like, doesn't mean they're immune to criticism now. The reality is now, yes, Real Madrid are good in the Champions League right now, but in the league, they are not good. They are not in second place. They're not in third place. I believe they're in fourth place and like, I don't know, 10 points out of a title race right now, somewhere around that, which isn't good enough for a club like Real Madrid. Is it a double standard? Do we hold them to a standard that's not fair? Maybe, yeah, that's the whole point. They are the Galacticos. They have the biggest, best players in the world, just like Barcelona do, and they're 10 points behind the title race. So of course, when they're not playing well, we're going to hold that against them. It's not me. I actually like watching them play. I watch them play regularly, but when they're not doing well, I've got to say something, guys. It's my job. It's a moral obligation. So anyways, guys, that's all we have for this week. Get down into the comments and let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.